The day that Roe v. Wade was overturned was a great day in American history, a great day in world history. It was a great day for humanity because as of now, the killing of unborn children was no longer the constitutionally protected law of the land. However, politically, it became, well, let's just say challenging. Gone are the days when a pro life candidate, mostly Republican, of course, could just promise to overturn Roe v. Wade by voting to confirm a justice that would do that or nominating a justice that would do that. No, it's not that simple anymore. Now, what will the law be in your state with regard to abortion? A heartbeat, a certain length of gestation, viability, it gets a little complicated. And Republicans need to be able to properly know what they believe, communicate what they believe, defend what they believe, and then when they get elected, imagine this, actually do what they promised they'd do. Now, we saw this play out last month at the Republican debate where Nikki Haley said, listen, I'm as pro life as the next guy, but we don't have the votes in the Senate for a federal ban on abortion. So let's not promise we'll do it. Let's actually figure out a way we can reach some sort of consensus. Vice President Pence countered and said, no, 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 being president is about leadership. And if you don't have the votes, you don't give up. You actually get those votes. Meanwhile, Governor Ron DeSantis, who's running for president, he has one of the most pro life laws that he signed into law in his state. And President Trump, who, by the way, we should thank for getting rid of Roe v. Wade, thanks to his Supreme Court justices, well, he called Governor DeSantis's law a terrible thing. So, where does the Republican Party really stand on the life issue? And what should they be saying? What should they be doing? Joining us now to discuss that is Ev Osment. She's in the business of communicating these ideas as the Vice President of Communications for the wonderful Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America Group. Thank you so much for joining us, Evie.
Thank you so much.
Well, did I just overstate the case, or are we really sort of at a crossroads right now in the pro-life movement, specifically with regard to the pro-life movement's association with the Republican Party?
No, you make really great points, Larry. I mean, the thing that is so crucial right now is that everyone needs to define for the American people with clarity where they stand. This issue is so important. This is about life. And if you say you're a pro life candidate, then know what you believe and communicate that to the American people. The thing that we have to be transparent about here is that in this post-Roe landscape, we've had 50 years of Roe v. Wade with the Supreme Court putting their thumb on the scale of life. And yes, Americans do want abortion, but the good news for pro-life candidates and everyone in the pro-life movement is that even after those 50 years of Roe that allowed for late-term abortion, Americans want significant limits on abortion, and the Democratic Party is not going to offer that to them with their no limits platform.
Yeah, that is clear. I mean, Republicans may be having this internal squabble and they're trying to figure out not just what they really believe, but what they can achieve. Democrats are pretty clear. I know they deny that they want abortion right up until the moment of the birth, but every time they're given the opportunity to vote to restrict abortion up until the moment of birth, they won't do it. Their votes actually tell what they really stand for, right?
That's right. I mean, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too here. What they're trying to do is say, oh, no, no one's for, all 9 months of abortion. But then when you ask them, they refuse to list a single limit. I mean, just look at Psaki. We have also Karine Jean-Pierre, and they will not list a single limit that Biden will put on abortion. You've got Democrats like Fetterman who'll just come right out and say, yeah, no limits, please.
Yeah. Well, and Gavin Newsom in his interview earlier this week with Dana Bash, she kept pressing him. Good for her. All he would say was, well, it's not for me to decide. It's for women and doctors. Well, we know what that means. We've seen what that means over the last 50 years. It means no restrictions.
Right. And there's also this insidious lie that they tell, which is, oh, well, those don't happen anyway. Well, you have 7 states right now. For any reason, you can get an abortion without limits. In DC, also the same thing. And also by their own data, Guttmacher, the Planned Parenthood research arm, shows that after 15 weeks, there are 55,000 to 63,000 abortions happening. So yes, they do happen.
Isn't it also true that if we did have a federal ban on abortion, let's say at 20 weeks, that would still put the United States of America, I think, number 7 on the list of the most permissive countries on the planet with regard to abortion?
You're exactly right, Larry. In fact, we are only right now, America, most people don't realize this, one of only 7 countries that allows for abortion after 5 months, after 20 weeks, like you just said, right alongside human rights abusers like China and North Korea. And I have to say one thing about this. I actually grew up overseas. I had a front row view of China. And I can tell you, I grew up in Taiwan, that a country that allows and embraces abortion for all 9 months, it erodes the humanity of that country.
All right, so we're pretty clear on where Democrats are, and I would think, based on the exchange we've just had for about 5 minutes, it shouldn't be that hard for Republicans to get on the same page and communicate these ideas. Let's focus a little bit on what's happening right now, right before our eyes. Senator Tommy Tuberville has put a hold on any advancement for promotion in the Senate for any nominations because of the Pentagon's new policy. The Pentagon is literally funding abortions in the military right now, which is against federal law. And I even see some Republicans angry at Tommy Tuberville instead of actually focusing their ire at the Pentagon.
No, you're right. I mean, Tuberville should be commended. He is really standing in the gap here and saying, I'm not going to rubber stamp these things in the DOD for your abortion tourism. I mean, the Biden administration is trying to play cloak and dagger politics, and they're trying to slip abortion into all of these areas that they think they can, whether it be DOD for abortion travel, paying for abortion travel, or the VA. In which now the VA is providing abortions in pro life states.
Yeah, in fact, the Post Millennial is reporting now in an exclusive manner that they've gotten a hold of some training documentation given to the Veterans Administration, excuse me, provided by the Veterans Administration, actually instructing health providers to promote abortion as one of the safest options if you're pregnant. I would think the safest option is to have the baby.
Right, Larry. I mean, I would encourage your audience to watch these videos, although there's hours and hours of them, so maybe not, maybe not. But you're right. In those videos, and I've seen them, they have instructions on the language that you can use to make sure that you soften abortions, that you give preferential treatment to pushing the woman to abortions. They fearmonger about pregnancy. And then, of course, they have the language that says, don't say woman, it's person capable of pregnancy. Don't say baby. It's really egregious stuff.
So you heard President Trump in his interview with NBC News. Not only was he criticizing Governor DeSantis, but he also said, listen, I think I'm going to make everybody happy with this. And he was talking about trying to reach consensus. And I'd love for there to be consensus in this country on abortion, but I would like that consensus to lean toward the pro-life side of the equation. You're in this business, Evie. You know how these debates go. Is it even possible for everyone to be happy?
Well, I'll say this about President Trump. He's undoubtedly the most pro life president that we've ever had. You said it at the top, which is that he is the one who overturned Roe v. Wade and was able to give every state now an opportunity to provide life to children and babies in the womb and to serve mothers. Something that's never talked about is the fact that hundreds of millions of dollars in funding go to serve moms now. That's wonderful stuff. But listen, you've got to define where you are. We can't just say, oh, we want negotiation with the pro-abortion left that's saying no limits. Where do you work there? Why don't we look at the national consensus that we already have with the American people, reject the premise of all 9 months of abortion on the Democrat side, and come to the table with the American people and say, look, they want significant limits on abortion.
And finally, back to Gavin Newsom's interview earlier this week, when he refused to actually nail down any number, as you know. He said California, well, it's viability, which is about 24 weeks, but we've just put through a constitutional amendment and it's more nuanced. Didn't seem very nuanced. The language of that constitutional amendment in California is that the government won't restrict a woman's right to so-called reproductive health. Doesn't that mean the government cannot restrict abortion at all in any way whatsoever?
That's right. Yet again, I mean, look at their actions, not their words here. If you look at the stuff that they put in there, it's all undefined. Look at the Women's Health Protection Act, so-called. Undefined viability. Doesn't list a single week or boundary on abortion. Same thing with Newsom.
Yeah. It's pretty important here, Evie, when a Democrat says no one wants abortion without restrictions, and then you say, okay, well, what restrictions are you in favor of? And they won't tell you. I think we can put two and two together. Thank you for joining us. Great work as always.
Thank you.
There is more to come on O'Connor tonight. This is the Salem News Channel.